Hello dear students, you are welcome in this video. Dear students, in the previous video we talked about first wave of feminism. In this video we are going to talk about second wave of feminism, and we will cover many topics in the second wave of feminism. We will talk about the major texts, major contributors, and the development of second wave feminism. So generally it is considered as the second wave of feminism began in the year 1960s. So the decade is considered as the beginning, but before this decade, we have the very seminal work by Simone de Beauvoir, The Second Sex, which was published in French in 1949, and later it is published in the Western world or in European countries, and then it became very famous and the milestone in the history of feminism. So we can consider this feminism or the second wave began with the publication of The Second Sex in 1949. But there are scholars and there are authors who consider the second wave of feminism began in 1960s. They consider the decade important there. Before that, let's understand a few questions that we are going to cover in this presentation. So we have here some of the questions that are important, and we will cover those questions. Here we can see that very first question is what is the second wave of feminism? Now this question is a general question. Second is when did it begin, or what is the date, which we have already talked about. Then we will talk about the major contributors, and we also discuss some of the important texts and features of second wave feminism. So these are the questions which are covered in this video. Now, as we have already talked about the beginning of second wave of feminism in the year 1960s, which lasted through or in the year 1980s or the 1980s decade. But before that, we have a very seminal work called The Second Sex, which is written by Simone de Beauvoir. She is a French author, French philosopher, and who gave birth to so many debates and controversies in the field of feminism. And this book, The Second Sex, has become an important book in the field of feminism, where she defines the very existence of woman. The historical perspective also is discussed regarding women and how women are made. There is a very famous statement by Simone de Beauvoir in The Second Sex, and she says that one is not born woman but becomes woman. So woman is made, and it is a cultural, social, political or other kind of process that makes a person woman, and she is not born but she is created, or she is made, or she becomes woman through this process or through this system. So this book is very important, and after that we can say that the second wave of feminism began. Next we have, so this book is the we can say the predecessor, or Simone de Beauvoir is the predecessor of second wave of feminism, but the instigator can be considered as Betty Friedan, and she composed a very we can say that important book in the field of feminism or in the second wave of feminism, The Feminine Mystique, in 1963. So this book is the instigator of the second wave of feminism, and hence it is considered that from this book the very movement of second wave came into swing, and this swing has lasted till 1980s. So what is there in the Feminine Mystics? In the Feminine Mystique, she talks about so many issues. Basically, she talks about the prominent issues of women's equality or the rights of equality, right from the right of abortion to the right of working women, rights of working women, and how women are treated unequal compared to men, and there should be equal pay for women as men have. So these are some of the basic things in the very book called The Feminine Mystique. And next we have the outcome of such kind of movements is the Equal Pay Act of 1963. So Esther Peterson, who was the head of Women's Bureau in the Labor Department in White House, and she headed a committee, and that committee recommended that the women should give an equal pay, and hence the Equal Pay Act came into force or into law in 1963. So this equal pay is very important, and this has given birth to so many things in America in the field of feminism. So Easter is important. American, we can say that feminist who headed that committee, and that committee recommended to John F. Kennedy's government that there should be equal pay, and in 1963 that law came into force. Next we have Title 7th of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. According to this title or this Civil Rights Act, men and women should be considered equal, and there should be no any discrimination on the basis of race, basis of sex, basis of place, or basis of nationality. So this act is very important, and according to this act, women are considered equal to men. So this is, we can say, an achievement of this second wave of feminism. So in this picture, you can see that the President of America, John F. Kennedy, who is signing the law of 1963, Equal Pay Act, and all the women are surrounded, all these women are happy, and you can see the smiles on their faces. So this thing is very important in the development of the second wave feminism, because there is a legal, we can say, provisions in this second wave of feminism, and this is the outcome of the second wave of feminism. Now, women's liberation movement started with Gloria Steinem, and she is called as a Bunny's Tale, and she co-founded the magazines like New York and Miss. And in these magazines, in her writings, she raised the issues of women, the issues of politics, and the social inequality of women. And she talks about so many things, the abortion of women, and they should they must get the right of abortion, and it should be given to women. All these things were discussed in her writing in New York and Miss. Then we have so many books which gave birth to the women's liberation movement in the second wave of feminism. And these books or these texts are important, and these authors also are important in this movement. Kate Millett's, we have Sexual Politics, published in 1969. Then we have Juliet Mitchell's The Subjection of Women, published in 1970. Shulamit Firestone's The Dialectic of Sex, The Case for Feminist Revolution, published in 1970. So all these texts mark a transition in this period, and they talked about the liberation of women, the rights of women, and so many issues found in the society which discriminate women. And based on these texts, we have a very strong movement. They are the movement of women's liberation. And here you can see we have Gloria Steinem, and here we have again very Friedan. Here we have Friedan, and there is Betty. So these women have fought for the rights of women, and they have a strong hold in the second wave of feminism. Next, we have Frances M. Bell. Now, there is the difference between the second wave of feminism, women's liberation movement, and black women's movement. And here we find that the black women's movement is separated from the second wave of feminism, or this is under the second wave of feminism bit, but we can say it is another branch. So here we have Frances M. Bell's book or essay called Double Jeopardy: To Be Black and Female, which is published in 1969. And in this essay, she talks about how black women are doubly discriminated in comparison with the white women or white males. So this is the beginning of the black women's movement or black feminism. And next we have National Black Feminist Organization, NBFO, established in 1973. And then we have the Combahee River Collective in 1974. Now, these two organizations are important in black feminism or black women's feminism or black women's movement because they separated from the Friedan or Betty or other feminists in that period. And we have a statement by Combahee River Collective, and this statement says that we are committed to struggling against racial, sexual, heterosexual, and class oppression. Now, this is the basic objective of the organizations like Combahee River Collective and NBFO. They were fighting against all these odds or all these difficulties or discriminatory behavior in the society. So they were fighting against racial, sexual, heterosexual and class oppressions which was found there in the society. Then we have Angela Davis's Woman, Race and Class, published in 1981, and it has given birth to black feminist movement. So this book is also a very important book in black feminist movement, and we must understand the Woman, Race and Class by Angela Davis, which again gave birth to a different kind of feminism. Then we have next Alice Walker, In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, Womanist Prose. So this is again an important text in the field of black feminism or black women's movement. Now she coins a term called womanism in this book, In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, Womanist Prose, which is published in 1983. And she also composed a novel called The Color Purple. So this term, womanism, is a particular term. Some scholars interchangeably use this term with black feminism or black women's movement. So womanism, she calls the term, Alice Walker. Then we have a different segment of gay movement in the second wave of feminism. Here we can find the gay rights movement. The first gay rights demonstrations were held in Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. as early as in 1965. Again, we can say that this is another part of the second wave of feminism, and many of the gay persons came on the road and they demonstrated. Demonstrations occurred in 1965 in Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia, and from there, again, a different kind of movement, the gay movement or the movement for rights of gay persons emerged from here. Next, in the development of second wave of feminism, we have another bra-burning women's movement, or this phrase has become popular in those days because there were some American women or some American models who gathered in a live show called Miss America pageant, and they protested in the Atlantic City, New Jersey. They protested against the discriminatory behavior in that particular show, and they threw their bras, high heels and Playboy magazines there, and it has taken as bra burning event. Actually, there were no any burning of bras in reality, but this myth has become popular in those days that these American women, now you can see all these models, and they burned their bras. Actually, it is a myth. It is not reality. And this myth is connected with the event of 1968 Miss America pageant protest. So this protest is basically recognized as the bra burning women's movement or bra burning women's event. So this is again a development in the second wave of feminism. Now, how did this second wave of feminism end? At the early of 1980s, there were so many debates in the feminism. The debates were on the topics like pornography, how pornography affects women. There were two groups who considered that the pornography affected women's life, and some said that pornography gave freedom, sexual freedom to women. And these debates were already emerged, and based on this, new organizations also were formed, and this has led slow down of the second wave of feminism. And in the year 1980s, this wave has become slowed down completely, and it came to a close or came to an end. In this way, this second wave of feminism flourished during 1960s and 1980s, and at the end of 1980s, this feminism or the second wave of feminism came to an end. I hope you might have got the idea of second wave of feminism. If you have any problem, any query, you can ask. If you have any doubt, you can comment below in the comment section. Let's meet in the next video. Thank you very much.